It was the best of times. It was the blurst of times. It was the best. It was the best. It was the best of times. It was the blurst of times. It was the best. You stupid monkey.
I've just been told the race is seconds away from starting up.
When I was a kid, every now and then I'd go down to my local Blockbuster and rent a game. As soon as I got home, I'd throw my disc into the console, boot up the game while I was sitting on the edge of my seat. After a moment I realised the game I picked wasn't what was advertised on the box. We all know these games like Superman 64, Too Human and majority of movie adaptations, and don't get me wrong, Grid is not Superman 64, but it does bring back some of these memories. Codemasters have released some outstanding games this year, Dirt Rally 2.0 and my racing game of the year, Formula 1 2019. Codemasters' latest release, Grid, has just come out, and if you're after a racing title that you can sink countless hours into perfecting your car, then please see our reviews for Formula 1 2019 and Dirt Rally 2.0. Grid's style and setting is a professional racing series called Grid, where gameplay is very much 2007's Need for Speed Pro Street. Grid is sold as a racing game like no other, where each race is an event on its own, where you create rivals and grind wheel to wheel. Codemasters have even gotten a Formula 1 champion Fernando Alonso as a consultant to help develop the game, from handling gameplay and even drama on the field.
From Sebastian Vettel, and there's locking up in a crash, and Fernando Alonso goes over the top there of Charles Leclerc's Sauber.
So naturally, Fernando Alonso is the hardest rival in the game. With creating rivals, racing against Fernando Alonso, and the raw racing power on display, you'd expect a realistic gritty racing game where you can sink your teeth in. However, Grid plays like an arcade racer that'll give you your racing fix, but won't sustain you like other racing games. Driving in Grid would be comparable to driving in the Grand Theft Auto and Need for Speed series. When you first fire up Grid, you'll be put into 3 separate races, giving you a taste of what you can expect. You'll start racing a Camaro and then move into a Volkswagen Golf on a wet track. You'll have your team and your race director feeding you information about the race, where your team is, and where your rival is. Grid gives the vibe/setting of a professional racing game, but is very arcadey. This makes Grid more accessible, but no matter what car you're driving in, you'll be drifting around corners. For example, right now you can see us racing a F1 Renault R26 around Silverstone in Grid. You can see how we're sliding around on the track and how arcade the game plays. Now here's a side-by-side comparison of us racing the exact same circuit in the exact same car in Formula 1 2019 developed by Codemasters. While you're driving Grid, anything you do will have a pop-up, as you can see above here. These pop-ups also appear in titles like Forza, Burnout and even some of the Need for Speed titles. These pop-ups make sense in these games because you're playing an arcade title, where Grid starts off with you racing in professional races on circuits. Even by looking at the race itself, you can see fans are literally hanging over the side of barriers cheering, and fireworks pop while you cross over the line. It feels like there should be music playing while I'm racing, and a comment from a team saying,
"What a drive! Woo! Oh, we'll have you in round 2 of the Dirt Racing series. Thank you very much."
The menus in Grid are also a little clunky, like driving a Holden. For those of you who don't know, we're Australian. Cars don't instantly appear when you want to purchase them, and the variety of cars are what you'd expect doing your grocery shopping at IKEA. This works as both a positive and a negative, as the meatballs at IKEA are amazing. What I will say though is with every category of cars available, there's something for everyone. What Grid does very well is the partner and nemesis system. Ramming into your car on track and smashing into other drivers clearly pisses off the other drivers, and they'll become your nemesis. If you get too close to them, they'll even ram you and attack you. Partners can also be used to move up and down the field and will actually take your orders. You'll also be able to choose your partner for the race. Some partners will be great and help out, but some of them will actually act like arseholes, only looking out for themselves, and even turn their radio off and won't take orders from you. This nemesis and partner system will work great for undercover sort of Need for Speed games, and even future titles where your rival is actively trying to take you out.
Our expert on all things motorsport. Okay, hold on, sorry. It looks like things are
While Grid would be great for kids wanting to play racing games or having a casual race with friends who aren't that big into racing. If they're too old or too mature for Mario Kart, and let me put this right here, no one is too old or too mature for Mario Kart, or they're too young or inexperienced when it comes to simulated or in-depth races, Grid works quite well. But it's like baby clothes. It's great for a week or two, and then you grow out of it. Yes, every racing game isn't supposed to be either a racing simulator or a fun event racing festival with music. But Grid tells you it's a professional racing game with a team manager telling you to avoid smashing into cars, but the arcade-like gameplay, constant drifting no matter what car you're driving, and racing fans hanging over the concrete barriers sets it off. If the above footage has caught your attention, maybe wait for Grid to be on sale around the holiday period.
I wouldn't even hear me.